Hello and welcome to the Penno channel. Here we are for an update on Aston Villa transfer news. Before we start, if you could comment your thoughts on the stream that I'm going to provide, subscribe if you're new around here, and also share the stream. So let's get into it. Firstly, there's been a number of rumours floating about regarding incomings for Aston Villa. We'll start off with a big one. Potentially a shock move for Arsenal's number 10, Emile Smith Rowe. Now, we remember as Villa fans, a few seasons ago now in 2021, Villa put in 2 bids for Emile Smith Rowe when he was up and coming, and he decided to stay at Arsenal and sign a new deal. Now, I think the max bid we put in was 30 million at the time for a player who was really on the rise. He was just below Saka in terms of being on the rise. He carried Arsenal for quite a period in that season where after we put in those bids for him. So Emile Smith Rowe, he was a big target at that time. 90 years of age was around then. But since then, at Arsenal, it just hasn't quite worked for him. Other players have come into the side ahead of him. He's had a lot of injury problems, which has affected his minutes as well. And then Arteta just seems to have fell out of love with him and doesn't fancy him as much. So now, potentially, with Arsenal looking to try and recruit some money, there's a chance for a team to sign Emile Smith Rowe off Arsenal. Now, at the time, when we were looking at Emile Smith Rowe, it was around the time Jack Grealish left, Emi Buendia had come in, and there was potentially a place for him operating off the left. It would have been, at that time, a very good signing, and for that price, it looked relatively cheap back then. Now, I think the position we're in, obviously, things are totally different now. We're a team that are in the top 4. Emile Smith Rowe, I don't know if he's to the level we should be looking for now, if you include his injuries and the limited amount of game time he's got. I mean, he's still only 23, so he's still really young. Unai Emery has got a good relationship as well. He would have worked with him whilst he was at Arsenal. I think he brought him through into the first team. He gave him his first team minutes alongside Bukayo Saka. So Emery knows him really well. He knows his play style really well as well. So there may be something in that. And could we be seeing Emile Smith Rowe at Villa Park? That would... Yeah, it'd be interesting. It would be interesting. Obviously, off the left now, we have Morgan Rogers and Jacob Ramsey who've been operating off that side. We kind of play in the 4-2-2-2 or the 4-4-2 formation when moving offensively. And I think Emile Smith Rowe's best position is kind of operating as a 10, more as a floating 10. I always like Emile Smith Rowe for his ball progression, especially a few seasons ago. His ball progression was a big deal, and he moved really well with the ball, glided with it, and was able to find good key passes as well, and he could shoot and score goals. But do we have similar options in that, and the likes of Morgan Rogers and Jacob Ramsey, whose ball progression numbers are right up there as well, and both of them are goal-scoring midfielders as well. So yeah, it will be interesting to see where this one goes. Funny thing is, Emile Smith Rowe is currently with Leon Bailey in Jamaica. There's been videos going about, and Reece Nelson as well. So yeah, Bailey might be chatting to him out there, and potentially that one could happen, but we'll see about that. Next up, we'll go on to a rumour that's kind of more concrete, and there's been interest for a while now, it seems, and that's Conor Gallagher of Chelsea. Now, Conor Gallagher had a fantastic season this season for Chelsea. For me personally, I think he was Chelsea's best midfielder. I did think Caicedo's performances improved towards the second half of the season, and he was playing really well as well. But for me, Conor Gallagher was their best midfielder this season. Conor Gallagher's one of those that has actually grown on me and my opinions on him, because I did think he was quite limited at first, especially before this season. I remember he had a great spell at Palace on loan. I remember he played at West Brom when he was younger as well, Swansea. And then at Chelsea, he was getting in the team, but I wasn't seeing what he was like providing, except for the things we know about Conor Gallagher. He's a workhorse, high pressing numbers, he'll get about the pitch. But he's more on the ball work, I wasn't too sure about. But this season, he's definitely proved that he's more than capable on the ball. His actions in dropping back and receiving the ball from the centre-backs or from the defence in general, or the goalkeeper, he's improved in that. He's very press resistant, which I didn't realise. So that would be a huge factor for us. He's really good in those areas where you have to drop a bit deeper and receive the ball. His passing's much better than I thought it was as well. And obviously, he can play as a 6, 8 and 10. We've seen him operate. Well, as a Villa fan, we've seen him play further upfield, and especially at Villa Park in the FA Cup, when he was playing high up the pitch alongside Cole Palmer in the 2, when they were pressing us with the 2 forwards and the 4 behind. Conor Gallagher was right on our case, and when he got the ball as well, he delivered. He was making key passes, and in both the home games in the FA Cup and in the Premier League, he scored absolute brilliant goals as well. So he's a goal scorer as well, and he can get on the end of things. And I think Conor Gallagher really is an all-round midfielder, and for a Unai Emery side, we love players that can play in multiple positions, and Conor Gallagher is one of those players who can do that. He can fill in many roles as well. So I'm all for that deal. Now, the reports regarding his fee, potentially 50 million around that price. Have Villa got that money to spend? What with PSR? Chelsea look like they're looking to sell before the 30th of June because they have to comply with the regulations. So that name keeps coming out there. It's pure profit for Chelsea. It's homegrown talent as well. Chelsea Academy. So yeah, it's 1 on 4 definitely. If that was to materialise, obviously there's rumours of Spurs being interested, and I'm sure a number of other clubs are, because Conor Gallagher is a very, very good midfielder, and he's definitely improved on his game, and this season showed that. So yeah, I'd really love it if we were in for Conor Gallagher, and yeah, we'll see if anything does materialise from that one. Other links as well regarding it's more midfielders. It just seems like the midfielder links are rife at the minute, and Unai Emery wants further midfielders. Obviously, you got Boubacar Kamara, who's going to be out till end of November minimum. Leander Dendoncourt's potentially leaving as well. We sold Morgan Sanson, so he won't be there. Thierry Imirbunem's not really fancied, so there's still a few more midfield slots we can be looking to fill. And the two names that I'm going to bring up next are more attacking midfielders in that sense, and that's Alex Baena and Xavi Simons. So Alex Baena, most assists in La Liga this season, had a fantastic season with Villarreal. Still so young, he's only 21 years old. Has been called up to the Spanish side for the Euros, and he'll be close to getting a starting role, if not starting. Full stop. Excellent creative numbers. Also gets about the pitch as well. Fantastic on the ball. So he's another option that we could have in as a hybrid position, as an 8 or a 10, or even playing off Watkins as a second striker as well. He could do all those things. He's very, very complete midfielder. And obviously you have Villarreal links. We came from Villarreal. We signed Pau Torres from Villarreal as well. Unai will have great links with the club. So if there is a deal to be made there, that will be interesting. Obviously, his fee is going to command a significant fee for the player, but there will be a release clause within that. We got Pau Torres for what I thought was relatively cheap on the going rate of Pau Torres, because he was being quoted for 70, 80 million a season or two before that, and ended up signing him for 30 odd million. So if Alex Baena is around that price, 30, 35 million, I think that's definitely a player we will go for, because he has all the attributes that would improve us within the Premier League. And the other player I was discussing is Xavi Simons as well. La Masia graduate. We've seen the videos when he was playing at La Masia, and 2010 to 2019, he was that player coming through. He was an absolute wonder kid through Barcelona. And it didn't quite materialise with him there. He ended up signing for PSG. Went to PSG, just wasn't getting any minutes at all. Had a great season on loan at PSV. Came back to PSG, still didn't get any appearances, and it was just like, yeah, okay, it's time to move him on again. So he had another season at RB Leipzig, absolutely flourished there, had a great season at Leipzig, and returns to PSG. So is there a potential for a loan bid from Aston Villa to go for Xavi Simons? Champions League football now is massive for the club, and we can attract higher calibre of players, and Xavi Simons is right up there. There's going to be a host of clubs that are interested in signing him. He did step up again in levels this season. So, yeah, there'll be a number of Premier League clubs and clubs around Europe that will be interested in his signature, but there was a link that potentially Villa would be looking at him, and that is definitely one I'd be all for, because he has so much quality and he provide so much in those attacking areas. With the players he could link with in Watkins, Bailey, Diaby, Rodgers, Ramsey, there's just so much attacking quality there, and it helps to bolster the squad as well. And obviously for a loan fee, it wouldn't be too much in regards to PSR and the regulations. So yeah, that's definitely one I'd be interested in as well. Finally, just a few other rumours that have been floating around regarding players. First one, we're going to go Weston McKennie, another. That rumour doesn't seem to go away with Villa. Over the years, that's happened. He went to Leeds last season, didn't have the greatest time on loan at Leeds at all. Ended up getting relegated with them, and his performances weren't great at all. a lot of Leeds fans were getting on his case and they weren't impressed with what he was delivering. So, yeah, Weston McKennie's not a player I've never really been a fan of him. Even though for Juventus this season he got 34 appearances within the league, Juventus ended up finishing third. For a side like Juventus, you'd expect them to be winning the league. That's just how it is. They're probably the biggest club in Serie A and in Italy. So, yeah, he didn't have the best of seasons there. Not one I'm interested in, to be honest. But he's still of a young age profile. I think he's only 25 still. So, yeah, I think with Weston McKennie, we've seen what he's capable of in the Premier League. He wasn't fit. He wasn't in the right shape. And when the going got tough for Leeds, he didn't step up and he wasn't counted for. He wasn't good enough. If anything, Tyler Adams stood out more when he was at Leeds and he was the better player. But, yeah, he ended up getting injured and that effectively cost them. But, yeah, I'm not a fan of Weston McKennie. Other rumours within this is Al Naziri, the striker, the Moroccan striker, 26-year-old for Sevilla. Had a decent season this season, ended up getting 16 goals in La Liga, which is a decent return for him. I've seen him about for a number of years now. Sevilla, if you watch Europa League football, you've seen Al Naziri about plying his trade, as well as at the World Cup as well for Morocco. Morocco ended up reaching the semi-finals and he was a big part of that. Remember that massive leap, the header he scored within the World Cup. So, yeah, he's a player that could offer certain aspects. He's got European pedigree, playing with Sevilla. And also, he's still of a younger profile. He's still 26 years of age. He's not quite reached his peak yet. So is there a potential deal in there for Villa? Could be got on the cheaper side of things as well. Obviously, Villa are playing close to the line with the PSR restrictions. So that would be interesting if we'd be looking to collect a striker for a relatively smaller fee in comparison to other strikers, especially if you're going for strikers from Premier League clubs. This will be an interesting development. I think there is some stuff in this. Obviously, Monchi came from Sevilla last season to Villa, so he'll have great relationships with Sevilla. We picked up Clement Lenglet. I know it was only on loan, but he'd played for Sevilla previously, and then we picked him up off Barca on loan as well. Monchi will have great relationship with Sevilla and the board in regards to doing transfers. Maybe not so much because he ended up leaving, but in terms of striking a deal, I'm sure they'd be able to come to some sort of agreement. So we'll see if anything does develop with the Al Nassiri rumours and if he's potentially a backup striker that we do get in, because after a number of times, a number of rumours again have already started regarding Jhon Duran, and if he will be playing for the club next season. There was huge Chelsea links in January. Yeah, there's been a whole ordeal. His agent has come out and said certain things about, the Aston Villa board should be ready and prepared for stuff happening with Jhon Duran. We'll see. It'd be interesting if Chelsea do put in a bid. There's also interest from Milan. Chelsea, Conor Gallagher, is something there. I'm sure both teams would sell because of the profit for PSR, and it looks better on the books rather than doing a sort of trade deal. If Jhon Duran leaves, could we be looking at other strikers as well? There's also been a link to a Rennes striker, 17-year-old striker called Mathis Lombarde. Hasn't played at all really for Rennes. He's only made one appearance this season within the league, but obviously that's one for the future. French under-17 international. Don't know too much on him in that regard, but you assume, coming through the French ranks, he'll have ability, and obviously he'd need so much time. If we were to sign him, he'd need so much time to bed in, potentially loan deals as well. So would he be that immediate replacement if Jhon Duran was to leave? I don't think so. I think that's more looking at a signing for the future and looking to develop them through the academy and then send them out on loans as well and get their development there before making it through to the first team. The final deal, Archie Brown from Ghent, born in Brum, so he's a Birmingham boy, born in Birmingham, came through the Derby Academy and ended up going out to Ghent in a deal. Left back, good, great profile, tall, which is something Villa lack, is tall players. Be great in defensive aspects, which is something Villa do struggle with, especially the defending from set pieces. So, yeah, 6'2", 6'3", left back, 22 years of age. There's been a lot of rumours from English clubs interested in him, and Villa's name's been put up as one of them, as well as Crystal Palace and a number of others. Watch a few clips of him and how he operates, and he seems to be in the mould of supplying crosses in a Luca Digne mould. His delivery he's as good, if not better, and in how he's producing it. Albeit he's playing in Belgium and not in the Premier League. But yeah, his profile is more filled out. He's bigger. He has a larger stature and a frame, which is something Villa do require within the side as well. And obviously he's young, and Emery loves developing players within the squad. And I think Archie Brown would be one that he'd be able to develop. Now, it'd be interesting to see what the fees and how much they're looking for, because, as I said, there'll be a number of clubs interested in, so it could potentially be a form of a bidding war. But for me, I feel like fullbacks is definitely an area we can look to improve on. And yeah, that's a name that has currently been floated about as someone who potentially Aston Villa will go for this summer. So yeah, that was a roundup of all the transfer information and news regarding Villa. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, do you like some of those deals? Which one of those players you'd like to come to Villa? You'd like to see in Villa colours? And also, like the stream, subscribe if you're new around here. As I said, let me know your thoughts, share, and if you're new, subscribe as well.